You should have answered 1, 2, 3 questions on your own. I am ready to tell you about examples of places to earn interest. If you have not looked up what interest is yet in the first place because you didn't follow directions, you need to stop this video now and go back and do that. Examples of places to earn interest. When you earn interest, that is a bank or a financial institution paying you money for your investment. Investments like stocks and bonds, mutual funds, retirement accounts. Those are all adult things that you should look into when you graduate high school, because you're all going to, and you find yourself a salaried job with some income. If you can put money into investments like these that they will pay you interest on, then your money can make money just by sitting there if you're doing the right things with it. Mr. Cope and I both invest our money at Edward Jones, which is a place in New Bremen. There's Edward Jones all over the place, but we have money sitting there saving for our future, for our kids, and for when we retire. You should look into a place like that after you graduate. Banks in general can also pay you interest. Banks, you can put your money just in a regular savings account. The interest there just isn't as good as it would be in one of these other investments that I listed up there. You wouldn't get paid as much. Savings account, CDs are certified deposits. They're like savings accounts, but your money just sits there for a couple years at a time, and you agree to not touch that money. You agree to not use the money so that the bank can actually use it for something else. And they pay you as a thank you, basically, for letting them use your money. You also can... Interest isn't always a positive thing in all of these situations. In the activity that we're about to do on the back, interest is a positive thing. But there are things like student loans, car loans, mortgages that acquire interest that you have to pay in a loan situation, but that's not what we're talking about today. The compound interest formula that you're going to use to do this activity is y equals a 1 plus r over n to the nt power. That's very similar to the formula that you were just using in, I don't know, was that 11.4, 11.5? I don't know, I kind of lose track sometimes. When you were doing the percentages with Mrs. Mullen, that formula, you don't need to write this down, I'm just reminding you. Looked like that. It had a plus or minus because sometimes that percentage was going up and sometimes it was going down. But in this situation, in this investment situation, we're always going to add that interest. So we're always going to use a plus. The N is for the number of times per year that it is compounded, which is why you looked up these words up here. Y is the final value. A is the initial value of the account. I'm going to write deposit also because that's how much you would have put into the account to start it out with. R is the interest rate. N is the number of times compounded per year. And T is the number of years. A is still what you're starting out with. That's not any different. The initial amount of money that you put in, this is still a 1. This is still an interest. This is still a percentage. It's just the interest rate from the problem. This N occurs twice. It's a number of times compounded per year. So if it said compounded daily, remember there's 365 days in a year, except this year, which we're not considering. There's 366 this year, but forget about that case. We would put 365 there. If it says compounded weekly, you would put 52 because there are 52 weeks in a year. T is however many years there are. I want you to read through this word problem on the back. There's a lot of information in that problem. And then you're going to consider your options. Consider your investments at these different banks here. I need you to use the formula from the front page to analyze how much money would be in your account at each of these banks after the number of years that they suggest. You should be able to make this decision at the end here if you do your calculations correctly. If you're confused about any of that, though, of course, let me know.